Welcome back to the Nikki Clarke Show. The show is about transforming lives one story at a time. And I'm always super excited to, meet people, talk about their story, and hear how they've overcome incredible challenges to get to their place in the sun. So the show is about empowerment, it's about upliftment, and it's about providing resources for people who need to get out of their place of feeling stuck personally or professionally. And I'm so thrilled to have an incredible woman, Dr. Renee White, otherwise known as Dr. Nay, writes motivational poetry for a diverse audience of women, and she writes about the female experience regarding life and love. And through her poetic craft, Dr. Nay promotes women unity, encouragement, and empowerment. And her readers are invited to join the Sister to Sister conversations via her blog. And she also has a YouTube channel, and she's also on other platforms. So without further ado, please welcome experienced educator Dr. Nay. Dr. Nay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, Nikki. Thank you so much for the invitation to join you today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for your time. So without further ado, let's hear a little bit about your journey leading up to what you're doing today.
Okay, I guess I'll start from the beginning pretty much. I was born and raised in Jamaica, Queens, New York City, and I went through the public schools. And I always wanted to be a teacher, to educate, to make a difference. So after I obtained my degree, I became a teacher, and I was blessed to return back to my elementary school. And it was such a wonderful experience because I felt that I was a role model, showing the children that, yes, you can grow up in this neighborhood and you can still aspire, to higher heights.
Yes. Yes.
So, as I continued to teach, I felt that I wanted to reach more children. So I became a reading specialist, and I was teaching within the same school district, but I also taught at various schools, entering various classrooms. So I reached a larger number of students. So I did that, and it was rewarding. And then from that point of view, I decided that I wanted to make more structural changes in regards to curriculum and policy. So I went back to school, and I obtained my doctorate in educational leadership because I wanted to become a superintendent, because I felt as a superintendent I could have more of an impact on more children. But when I graduated, God had a different idea of what I was supposed to do, and I ended up in higher education. So I've been a college professor now for about 27 years, and what is so rewarding about it is that not only do I teach literacy, but I teach cultural diversity. And most of my students are Caucasian middle-class women, and I felt that I could have an impact on these in-service and pre-service teachers so that they can address diversity in the classroom. So it's wonderful because I've been able to share, my experience as an African-American woman, and also my experience as a mother of 2 black sons. And it's just wonderful when I hear them say, wow, I didn't think of it that way, even if it's the idea of evaluating the materials and the literature. It's the idea of looking through a more critical lens that is more culturally conscious. So it's been a very rewarding experience because now I feel that I'm impacting even more children, because you think of over the years, thousands of teachers multiplied by the thousands of students in their classrooms, and I just, hope that they think, oh, wow, in Dr. White's class, I remember I should look for this, or maybe I shouldn't say that in that particular way. So that's how I started in the literacy aspect of things.
Excellent. And you brought up a couple of really valid points in terms of cultural diversity, sensitivity where that's concerned with other educators, because like you said, some educators are not aware of just where they're at in terms of the understanding of the diverse children's backgrounds. And for my own example, being born in Jamaica and the way I look, there may be kind of a myopic kind of view of what Jamaicans may look like, unless you from a very objective point of view, just kind of break down the multiculturalism of Jamaica, and that person may not have even known. I mean, nothing malicious intended with the comment, but
exactly,
it was just that awareness. So can you just talk about like an example of when that happened in the classroom, or when there was like an epiphany, something that you shared with someone who was just not aware of what they were saying or doing?
One example that I always share with them was an experience with my son when he was in kindergarten. And the children had this art activity. And it's all about me. In kindergarten, basically all the classrooms have the assignment of all about me, where students have to create this portrait of themselves. And the teacher sent home these light-colored cardboard cutouts, because my children attended more majority schools, okay? So he was the only child of color, and there might have been a couple of other classes where there might have been another child of color, okay? Yes. So she sent out to all of the children the light-colored construction paper. So when he came home, I went through the process of, him coloring it in dark, his skin tone and et cetera, and even the hair. You use yarn and all of that, to decorate the portrait. So when I went back, she said, oh, my. She said, I didn't think to send home another color, paper with him because she just did it as a whole from her perspective. But what was wonderful about it is that she thanked me because she had not considered that to make her assignment more inclusive of all of the children in her classroom. So something just as simple as that can have an impact, I believe, on a child's psyche and how he or she might perceive him or herself, in the world and going forward. So that's one example that, an aha moment for many of the teachers or my students that I teach.
Fantastic. It's so important to have those inclusive tools for children. So it's wonderful to have people like you to facilitate what that means in the classroom and, as you said, how it affects the self-esteem and self-concept. But you write poetry for adolescents and young adults. Tell us about how you kind of fused in your instructional expertise with poetry.
Okay. Again, it seems like my life is geared in different directions, and I go with it. So during the pandemic, as you know, we were all stuck in the house and had a little more time to think, and words just started coming to me. I've written and published academic work, but I was never a poet per se. I've written a couple of poems here and there throughout my life, but during the pandemic last year, words just started flowing, and I would get the laptop, and the poems will come out whole. So people, would say, well, do you think about what you write? And I'm like, no, it just comes, and when it comes whole. So I feel that the words are being channeled through me to serve, the world. So the first poems that I started to write were poems for adolescent girls of color. And I wrote about, poems to encourage their self-esteem, for them to be proud of their ancestry, even the poems going back to what you're saying, regarding the Jamaican culture, about different skin tones, being proud of sister hair, So it ended up being a book of poems geared for young girls of color. But what I also did was I infused my literacy background into it, because many of times people think literacy is just, say, reading the words, decoding the words. But when you look at literacy deeper, it's really the transaction between the reader and what's written on the page. So it's all about students making, or the reader making connections and applying it to their schema, their background knowledge. So within this book, with the poetry, I give the students, or the girls, an opportunity to write responses as to how does it connect to them, as, from themselves or to their experiences or whatever the case. But then at the end of the chapter, I have what we call graphic organizers, where they can now kind of analyze all of the poems within that chapter and pull it together so that it's relevant to them and it makes more meaning for them. So that's your sister. That's their sister girl, because I also wanted to share with them that, yes, I've come from, Queens, New York, and I was able to overcome, the obstacles and, attend big colleges like New York University and UVA and get the doctoral degree. I had the same trials and tribulations. So I've done it. You can do it as well. So then my sons were like, well, you have it for girls. Well, what about the boys? So I'm like, good point. So then those poems started to come. And so I have parallel text where, they both focus on self-esteem, but looking more at being a stand-up man, and for the boys to be respectful of women and those type of lessons, infused throughout the poetry. So that's yo bro, so so it's been a wonderful journey. I mean, my life has, kind of taken a turn to this new venture. And it's just amazing how the poetry just comes and it just flows through me. And so it's been an amazing journey, like I said.
Awesome. Let's talk about your sister-to-sister conversations and how that evolved, and talk about your blog.
Oh, yes. Okay. So when I finished, those two projects, for children of color, then other poems started to flow. And these were for women, because I feel that we really need to encourage and empower each other. And even though, we may have all different, walks of life and have different career paths and have whatever, degrees and letters behind our names, we still are women, and we still experience those same universal feelings and those emotions. So I wanted to build this safe community where we can have dialogue, where we can hold each other up, And so that's why I created the blog, which is based upon my poetry that I write, like I said, in regards to, self-esteem, based upon empowerment, dealing with menfolk issues, et cetera.
Yes.
And exactly, those are some of the favorite ones on YouTube. And and building that community where the women, can dialogue with each other, and relate to what we are experiencing as women, or even, as moms. So, yes, so I'm looking forward to building that. So far, we have over 160 sisters, and they're from...
And I'm one of them.
So you are one of them. Thank you so much. And they're from women from around the world, so across the United States, Canada, of course. I have a sister from Dubai, a couple of sisters from South Africa, West Africa, from the United Kingdom. So it's just amazing how women are gravitating to this. And I guess because we're looking for, that sisterhood, that community. that we can embrace each other. So that's my sister-to-sister blog. We are building that now with our sister showcase so we can get to know each other with, with bios and pictures. And we will be having a what I call sister conversations where we can even talk and dialogue face-to-face via Zoom for now. So I'm looking at scheduling that July 15th, just kind of a get to know each other. And what's so amazing is that there are women from so many different, like I said, career paths where I feel that they can share, their experiences with the other sisters, as a way of educating, as a way of, what are your techniques, what are your strategies of dealing with stress, of dealing with the demands of being a career woman and being a mom, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm looking at not just building the connections, but building the dialogue. So that's the sister to sister. That's drnay.blog, DRNAY.blog.
Okay, excellent. And you also have a new YouTube channel that you launched?
Yes, that's a new little venture that I have. And I have been posting my poetry on YouTube to make it more accessible, because one thing with the blog, it's a more of a private setting, where the conversation is a little more intimate. But I put it on YouTube to reach a broader audience and to share the word, and encourage whoever I can. And then also I welcome them to join the blog, where they can be part of the sisterhood. So they kind of go, they're interlocked together in a way to support the whole mission that I'm on. And it's amazing, because if someone were to ask me, a year and a half or 2 years ago what a blog is, I would say, a what? So
right.
It's been such a brand new experience for me, and I'm loving it, from writing the poetry to, having dialogue with the sisters, and even this interview today with you is such a blessing, and I appreciate it so much. Absolutely,
and we're blessed by hearing, what you've been doing and how you've been empowering so many individuals in the community. So with that said, please tell us how we can connect with you on social media.
Okay, well, on social media, you can find me on Facebook, Dr. Nay R. White. Actually, it's Renee, Dr. Nay White. I'm also on LinkedIn, Renee, Dr. Nay White. I'm on Instagram a little bit. I'm dabbling. I'm learning social media as well. All at the same time. Thank God for my sons, who were very, fluent with the whole process of social media. Also, my YouTube channel is Dr. Nay, Sister to Sister Conversations. And also my blog is Dr. Nay, DRNAY.blog. And it's free of charge to join the sisterhood. And I look forward to meeting more sisters.
Excellent. Well, I am so thrilled to be part of your community, the Sisters to Sisters Conversations. I look forward to that as they evolve. And again, congratulations on all your success. And just really looking forward to a continued, partnership with you. So I, again, want to thank you for your time, Dr. Nay. And, yes, let's just keep the conversations going, conversations that matter. And I ask you to just keep doing what you're doing. Stay strong and stay safe. Again, many thanks.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. You've been listening to the Nikki Clarke Show with our very, very special guest, Dr. Renee. Please go to her website, her YouTube. Reach out to her to keep those beautiful conversations going. Bye for now, Dr. Renee.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.